Hey guys, how are you? So in about face, I may be wrong on this and I may be a bit early. This dip down, as I said, at the time was a concern. This continuation is what we call low slung by our methodology. Despite this, though, we've had the grind. We had the break of the grind line that was predicted, but it was small return move, grinding marginally lower. So what was actually happening is that we continued to have time elapse without a major capitulation that was potentially possible in the inverted scenario that I drew. In other words, a scenario where Ethereum would sell off versus Bitcoin. It was vulnerable during that period. And if this starts to break, as I think it's now doing, and make new highs again versus Bitcoin, we won't have been inaccurate about the fact that this was a dangerous period. We went very low vol. A low volatility is typically preceded by an impulsive move. In other words, a high volatility move. This being low slung, this being very flat bottomed, there was a high risk of a downside break. However, you are always, and changing opinions is something you should do often as a trader. It's often people that go, ah, ha, 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 you were wrong, and I warned of all of this. I maintain that we were accurate to be cautious at that point, but now we have reverted because the current price behavior is now indicating that the impulsiveness of this low volatility move is going to return to the upside, meaning that in effect this is still a continuation pattern to the upside, as we felt this one was and called correctly, and we had a very good run out of that, and it was disproportionate on these few impulses, but it gave us a marvelous reward to the upside. We were more cautious about this one. Note how much higher slung this is to this one, and that is the reason why I cautioned against being too aggressive and waiting, because there was greater risk. I also showed you the Ripple chart where we proved to be accurate in that particular event. However, if this holds this level and doesn't sell off back down, which it could still do, and actually starts building on that, we could see a return to impulsiveness to the upside, which would then mean a bullish scenario is the correct view then for Ethereum upwards. So this is a potential change of view here, and that is brought about by the current impulsive. We've been stuck in a range very, very tight and very low volatility. However, that range was not low down and we didn't get the sell-off. So this was the juncture where relative strength against expectations was beginning to be shown. And as I was waiting longer and longer, and we just had the grind, and we just had a very moderate break of the grind, and then very low vol, when you're expecting a capitulation, that actually is illustrating relative strength. And what's now happened, we've gone low vol and we've actually broken the range and that previous high, and that makes us probably now in the upside continuation. Is this quality of pattern the most awesome quality of pattern? No, for all the original reasons it caused us concern. So I wouldn't be too aggressive with expecting massive over and above performance to Bitcoin, but the target here is back up roughly at this level. Note how when we drew this guesstimation that roughly we're having exactly the same expectation here. So 11.6 to Bitcoin is probably the outcome for the upside. So I've reverted long now with this breakout, and it is a low slung breakout. They do still and can still perform. The volume is still not huge, but let's respect that in terms of the 2 hour, we're at 1658. Actually, this says 2 o'clock. I'm not sure if it's set to my clock time, this tradingview.com. Because if it's 2 o'clock, it's probably not. Because on my computer time now, we're 1658. That's almost 5 o'clock. So I don't know how deep we are into the 2 hour. We'll need to see if this volume comes to support. If the volume doesn't turn out to be a real outlier volume, what may happen is you get a drift back down and you revisit what was previously resistance, this range, as support. And then you kick on. It's still not the most perfect pattern, so I would take off the table at least part of my holding upon that, upon the takeout of this particular level at the 11.6. So that's my technical take. This is a reminder, and we're ready to flip that there may be bullish upside move on Ethereum. and this risky period on quite poor price structure with a very deep grind may have been seen off just by the passage of time and not falling any further. And this could technically be a slight bull flag on a very weak up leg that's now ready to have a impulsive up move. Where might it rest on its way up? Because as I've said, it's not the most perfect pattern. It doesn't have to be a ripper the whole way through this one. It could be, you know, a fairly limpy one, and we could have reasonable performance out of Bitcoin. Note how this takes you just to the 100% fib level, which would be just taking out the new high. So this could be a very big footsie area where it just runs it, pulls back, breeze, just makes a new high. There's headlines coming out, a bit of hype, then a lot of people selling into some of the hype. And with the news flow coming in, you know, for the Ethereum Alliance and all the various activities that are coming in that space. So you might know. But this is the strongest candle we've had in a while since that one, and that was sold off near the end. So this is a better candle than that to the upside. I think the last time we had such a strong candle is in this big move where we broke out of the upside, the falling wedge, which we did in fact refer and call and trade. So we were long Ethereum here. So once again, this, just for some people's benefits, this is not an emotional game. We don't have favorites. We just follow price behavior, and the idea is to retain mental neutrality at all times. So thank you for following, and stay in touch, post your comments, and I will be replying to some of those when I get some time over the weekend. It's been a maniac week. We're loving it. We're loving being in the cryptos and loving interacting with you guys, and I hope you enjoy this video. So speak to you all soon, and tell me a little bit about what you'd like to see as well, so that we can keep it relevant. I will get into, once we've decided what's happening with the altcoins, I will get into some of the other coins lower down the market cap scale once we've properly nailed down this key point. What is happening with the big majors in terms of that? But for a while, Bitcoin was the relative strength, and I think that might just begin to be shifting now.